Megadeth leader Dave Mustaine has had his fair share of feuds over the years, especially with bands he's toured with. That's what we're going to explore in today's video. Back in 1990, one of the most exciting tours of the decade kicked off, called Clash of the Titans. While there would be two iterations of the tour, the first leg would happen in Europe and would see Megadeth and Slayer headline, with Suicidal Tendencies and Testament supporting them. It was alleged that Megadeth leader Dave Mustaine apparently wasn't happy about Suicidal Tendencies being on the bill, and even tried to have them thrown off the tour. The feud's origins dated back to a photo shoot for Rolling Stone magazine where each of the band's frontmen would appear together to promote the tour. Apparently Mustaine made some disparaging remarks about Muir being a no-show. In addition to that, Mustaine claimed to the press that Muir's outfit shouldn't have been on the bill, and that Mike, and I quote, sang like a frog. Muir's guitarist Mike Clark would reveal in the book Louder Than Hell, Dave Mustaine is a jerk. I'm not one to put people down and talk behind people's backs, but he publicly stated in some magazine interviews that we were unprofessional, not good enough, and did not deserve to play the Clash of the Titans tour. He said Mike couldn't sing, sings like a frog, something stupid like that. Muir would end up confronting Mustaine about his comments, but the Megadeth leader would blame his substance abuse issues for him making such statements. The feud would only escalate from there as both Mustaine and Muir were interviewed in Sounds magazine and threw more barbs at one another, with Mustaine revealing his displeasure with the band's treatment on the tour, saying, "It's more like Clash of the Tightwads. We've been screwed over lights, staging effects, even meals for our roadies. There's one guy involved with one of the bands, I can't say who, but we'd all like to take him outside and put a blanket over his head and beat the F out of him." Muir would eventually challenge Mustaine to a fight at Wembley Stadium and called out Mustaine's addiction, saying he, and I quote, lived at the Betty Ford Clinic. Eventually, Muir and Mustaine worked out their differences and blamed the press for gaslighting the feud, as Megadeth would take Muir and company out on tour with them when they were promoting their 1992 album Countdown to Extinction. In 1993, as part of Aerosmith's Get a Grip tour, the heavy metal band Megadeth was an opening act. Despite the strange pairing, Megadeth's management thought it would be a good idea to tour with Aerosmith, since Megadeth's members were trying to stay sober, and Aerosmith's members were older and had been sober for longer. Megadeth would be the first tour opener for the trek, which started in June of 1993. The plan was for Megadeth to play 25 dates with Aerosmith, but things quickly unraveled after only 3 dates. Megadeth bassist David Ellefson would claim that the band was unhappy with the fact that Megadeth never got a sound check or even a special backdrop or proper stage space during their live shows. Ellefson and Mustaine felt that they had already paid their dues and weren't some unknown or up-and-coming band that Aerosmith would typically take on the road with them. Mustaine would end up mouthing off in the press about Aerosmith, and here's MTV reporting what happened next.
In other Aerosmith news, the veteran band has unceremoniously dropped Megadeth as the opening act on its U.S. tour after only 3 shows. The split occurred after a concert in Houston last Sunday, when Aerosmith singer Steven Tyler said to Megadeth frontman Dave Mustaine, "We'd like to help you out. Which way did you come in?" Says Aerosmith guitarist Joe Perry, "Dave Mustaine just wasn't happy, and we don't want to tour with anyone who isn't having a good time." A Megadeth press release says the band left the Aerosmith tour by mutual agreement because of artistic restrictions and that the group wasn't being perceived as the multi-platinum unit that it is. Mustaine was considerably more forthright during an appearance on Houston radio station KEGL on Sunday night, when among many other things he said of Aerosmith, quote, "We don't mind if they headline because this is their last hurrah, soon they'll be dead." Megadeth has been replaced for the rest of the Aerosmith tour by Jackal.
Megadeth reportedly learned about their firing ahead of a planned show in Lubbock, Texas, when both Mustaine and Ellefson visited a diner, and a waitress who was serving them informed them that she had heard on the radio that the band Jackal would be opening for Aerosmith that night. In 2009, the band Suicide Silence would reveal that their opening slot for Megadeth would be taken away from them. While it wasn't clear initially what happened, tweets and statements from the band hinted that there was some bad blood between both camps. Bassist Dan Kenny would write on Twitter, "I would love a fistfight with Dave Mustaine. I hear he is quite good at MMA. I would triangle him in a second." Their late frontman Mitch Lucker would talk to Metal Injection, revealing, "I think the whole situation was funny. It's basic. Megadeth main man Dave Mustaine wanted our laminates back because we were getting people in. We were passing our laminates out. We were getting our friends in because we were only allowed like 10 people on the guest list. We were doing that, getting people in, and he thought it was a risk to his dressing room, which it could have been. Some superfan could have gone in there and done God knows what. And the situation went from that to him wanting our laminates back." In 2016, Megadeth was out on the road and was planning on taking the band Havoc with them. But Havoc would never make it on the road with Megadeth because they refused to sign what Mustaine referred to as, and I quote, "an industry standard contract." Mustaine would tell Brian Storm of Metal Sucks they had 5 months to sign an industry standard contract and don't pay their bills, and they had an industry standard contract, the same I have. 5 months later, they wouldn't sign it until they're dropped. Havoc would claim that the contract they were offered wasn't an industry standard, with frontman David Sanchez of the group saying basically they were trying to get us under contract for a management contract. We've been dealing with Dave Mustaine's son, and we've always had an oral agreement with him. Never had any issues. They wanted to get us on paper and lock us down for a written contract, which is pretty rare for bands our size. But anyways, they offered us a management contract, and the terms were completely unacceptable to us, so we went to a lawyer after we returned from Europe and began negotiating terms that we were happy with. While we were in negotiations for those, we were kicked off the Megadeth tour because we were told we were taking too long. So basically it went from a negotiation to being kicked off a tour. That does it for today's video, guys. Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. We'll see you again in Rock and Roll True Stories. Take care.